Hi, everybody. Welcome to Coach's Playbook with Paul LaPolice, your home for elite CFL breakdown analysis of this game we love up here in Canada. First and foremost, please give us a follow on YouTube. That way you'll get notifications as we post more stuff. We're trying to post a lot of stuff. Today, we're going to talk real simple. We're going to be in training camp mode. We're going to talk about man-to-man. You cover that guy, you cover that guy. Man-to-man coverage. There's a couple of forms played in the CFL. We're going to break those down. So let's open the playbook to man coverage. Why do you play man-to-man coverage? Couple of reasons. Because the width of the field in the CFL, with 65 yards wide, with 6 eligible receivers out, the defensive backs in zone coverage can really be put in a bind. And what that means is you could put 2 receivers in an area of zone responsibility, and the quarterback can throw it to wherever the zone player isn't, and it's too much space to be able to cover. So sometimes you just want to lock people up in man-to-man and not be put in a bind in zone. And number 2, more of your pressure packages. When you rush the quarterback with more people, you're going to void areas of the field, play with less zones, and you never want somebody to run into a wide-open zone and not have anybody covering them. So that's why you play more man. But first and foremost, to play man, you have to ID receivers. And what does that mean? You have to understand formations and where people are aligned. So the field corner, he takes number 1 to the field. The field halfback, he finds the number 2 receiver to the field. The strong side linebacker or Sam linebacker, he's going to take number 3. He could be to the field, he could be to the boundary. That's how they identify it to the field. To the boundary, it's the exact same. You're doing the exact same thing, but you're just changing your count. The corner has the boundary number 1. The boundary halfback has the boundary number 2. The will linebacker will take the tailback, and I say tailback because it's real important to have an understanding is most of the DBs will cover no matter which receiver is aligned, but if all of a sudden the will linebacker came out and technically he became the number 2 from the boundary, they're still going to match up the will linebacker on him because that's the best matchup for them in man coverage. You don't want the will linebacker covering a receiver if they don't have to. So it's very important you know the numbering system and you know what the formation is. What I've got drawn right here is what is called the 3x2 set. 3 to the field, 2 to the boundary. Now let me change this. What if we went to 4 to the field? Well, the boundary halfback would see there's nobody over here. I've got to take number 4. So he's going to come over and take him man to man. Now let me change the formation again. If I put 3 receivers into the boundary, now the Sam linebacker, he's got to be the guy to follow. Because, again, you have to line up on the 6 eligible players and chase them across the field. This is now a 2x3 set. So the Sam linebacker, strong side linebacker, is now actually into the boundary, but he's just following the receivers that are on the board. All right, now we got him ID'd. Let's understand what the term means. Cover 1. You hear people say he's in cover 1, it's man a lot. That means it's 1 deep. There's 1 player for 65 yards wide deep. That's the free safety. What's he going to do? Watch the quarterback's eyes and try to drive on the football. He's going to line from anywhere between 12 to 15 yards depth, and he is helping the underneath man-to-man players on deep throws. That's the general rule of what 1 means. If you said 4, there'd be 4 deep, and it would be some type of zone, but 1 means 1 deep player. Now, the next thing is what's that other digit for? The other digit is what's called a hole player. Cover 11 means there's 1 free safety, 1 deep, and 1 underneath hole player. So there's 1 zone player on the underneath area and 1 deep player. That is the middle linebacker in this picture because the will's covering the tailback. His job is to keep an eye on any crossing routes that come across the field because teams in man play a lot of crossers. And he's going to watch the quarterback's eyes and try to get involved. How does he play? He's going to start looking into the boundary in man because most crossing routes go from the boundary to the field in the CFL. So if he sees somebody running across the field, he's going to try to help the boundary halfback because He doesn't want the boundary halfback to be running away. He can have leverage, and what that means, he's closer to where the receiver's running. And that's the definition of a hole player. So how do hole players help? Well, look at the pictures I have drawn. I have these black marks on the outside of the receivers. That means these man players play outside leverage. And they play leverage outside because they know they have help on the inside. So let me draw a route here. Put my foot in the ground. I'm going to run a corner route. I'm going to come up here. I'm going to put my foot in the ground at 12, and I'm going to run a corner route. And let's say I'm going to run an outbreaking route. Well, all those players, the field halfback, he is in a perfect position to play this corner route because he's outside leverage. He can be in a better position to where the ball is going to be thrown. Same thing with the boundary halfback. Same thing with the Sam linebacker. So they are going to play outside leverage because they know if this route was a post, there is a post player in the middle of the field. So he may get leveraged. He can't cover the post because of his alignment, but the free safety is right there to help it. Same thing over here. If we ran up here and broke inside, same thing could happen. You could put yourself in a position where now the free safety can help there, and I've got help on either side. This first clip you're going to see is basically man coverage. You're going to see cover 11. Dig here to Rasheed Bailey coming across the field. Nice catch and run after the catch. Let's go back and take a look and see how everybody got lined up on this play. So first and foremost, you got to count your eligibles and your numbers. Make sure you're on the right people. 1, 2, 3. We're correct. The 3 to the field. Take the 3 to the field. The boundary corner takes boundary 1. The boundary halfback takes boundary 2. Now the tailback's aligned to the field. So who takes him? The middle linebacker takes him because he's aligned to his side. So the linebackers either can play hole because if the tailback dumps out to the field, the middle linebacker is going to take him. You can't even see him. There he is, really deep. The free safety, that's the one player deep. The middle linebacker's on him. Here's our hole player. Now you'll see this middle linebacker in this. He's kind of trying to play both things, cover and play in the hole, but good execution, run away on the dig. And there's one other point I wanted to show you here. It looks like pre-snap. If you watch up to the top of the screen, right about here, that's the leverage is way inside. But if you watch this halfback, as the receiver starts running, he starts pushing to the outside to play the outside breaking route. His hips are turned. That's why this is so wide open. He's playing the outside, but from an inside alignment. Nice, easy dig throw. Good recognition. The second form of cover 1 played in the Canadian Football League is what a lot of teams call cover 10. What is the difference? Still cover 1. You still have one deep player. Player in the deep. Okay, following the quarterback's eyes. He's the deep football player. But the digit 0, 11 meant one hole player. 0 means there's no hole players. So if you look, in this picture, I've got the will linebacker blitzing. Well, there's only one linebacker left. The middle linebacker is now covering the tailback. So because he has to chase the tailback anywhere he goes, the middle linebacker is no longer a hole player. So if the tailback ran out that way to the field, he would have to chase him. The will linebacker's pressuring the quarterback. There is no longer a hole player. There still is one deep, and that's why it's called 1, but it's called 10 because there's one deep right there, but there's nobody in this other area. You have to take this area off the board. What does that mean? You now can be hurt by inside breaking routes on the underneath areas. So you don't want a quick slant to be thrown in front of you or inside of you. So you're going to play, once you know you do not have underneath help, you're usually going to play inside leverage. Not always, but a lot of teams will tend to play inside leverage because they don't have the underneath crossing hole player. Watching this full speed, you're going to see a cover 10 pressure where they void the middle of the field. Great throw, great protection on the outside. Let's go back and take a look and get lined up. Make sure in man-to-man we know who we're covering. To the field. Field corner has 1. Field halfback has 2. Wait a minute, there's no number 3 to the field. It's a 2x3 set. All right, go back to the ID in the boundary. Boundary corner's got boundary 1. Boundary halfback's got boundary 2. And whoa, they came up with a third receiver. He moved from the field to the boundary. That means the Sam linebacker, he better travel into the boundary to cover him, which he does. Now notice, he's heavy inside leverage. He's heavy inside leverage. He's just head up to inside. Why are they doing that? Because they have the understanding that these 2 linebackers are going to blitz. One of them is going to cover the back and blitz, and one of them is going to go, and they leave this hole area. There's nobody in the hole, so they're going to play a little bit more inside leverage. You have 5-man players and the cover 1 player who's playing the 1 deep area. Cover 10. No hole player. Quarterback recognizes it. Good protection. Throws the dig. He trusts the dig to win on the outside. Nice catch by Wolotarski. Let's go to another one. Same scenario. We've got... It's a little bit harder to see this time because one of the linemen's in the line of scrimmage. So one of the linebackers, excuse me. So one's covering the back, one's pressuring. That voids the middle of the field. And Whitehead turns the halfback and is able to get the ball on the inside on that. Take a look at it full speed. Another good opportunity. Throw digs, get the ball out of your hands when there's no hole players. You know, I love the opportunity to pressure people. All right, you got to do it playing man coverage. So that's a good example of cover 11 and cover 10.